All right, we are live, everybody. So let me just manage everything. Cool. All right, everybody. So, hello, friends. So, here we go, everybody. It's been a minute. Been off. Been at San Diego Comic-Con for the past week, everybody. So, what's going to be happening here is we are going to be doing a client build today. So, this is a client I built. I recently built the Geon Frog TKL with orange Alps. So this is for the same client. We're doing a second build for them. So we have a Geon F1-8x V2. So this is a gorgeous Geon F1-8x V2 in black. So really, really beautiful board. One of my personal favorite boards to build in. So really, really nice. So we have a plate. So I'll kind of go over the parts we're going to be utilizing. So we have the Geon F1-8x V2 with wind keyless blockers. We have an aluminum plate from Hype Keyboards that was really Tom over there was really awesome to be able to make the plates and send them over. What we're going to be utilizing are going to be SKCL green Alps. These are not the very, very rare neon green Alp tactiles. These are going to be the linear green Alps. So the client wanted to go with some linear switches. So we're going to be working with these switches for PCB selection. This is going to be a really cool PCB. This is a new PCB straight over from Careless. Hello, dogs in the background. So this is a really cool PCB. So this comes over from Careless. So this is going to be the solder PCB that we are going to be working with. This is actually a really cool PCB. It was actually a collaboration between Careless and another guy within the community called Alec Tardy. Alec Tardy is the actual designer of the PCB, and again, Careless really kind of gave a lot of the input and things like that. So if you're ever looking for modern Alps, again, Careless is kind of your really kind of great guy to go with. So you just got a new batch of these TKL PCBs. So it'll fit in perfectly right there. So that's really, really nice. So really nice PCB. Again, it has Careless's logo. So this is a 1.2 millimeter solder PCB. So this is going to be a really, really great PCB that's going to do pretty much everything that the client needs. So we're going to put that to the side. And then for keycap selection, what we are going to be going with are going to be some Taihao vintage gray and white keycaps. So really, really cool keycaps that I've used this on some of my personal builds before and some other client builds. So really, really cool keycap set. So to kind of get us going, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be taking apart the case, and we got to extract the plate from the case. So that's what we're going to be doing first, folks. So let me get this flipped over, and we will get this board built and assembled. So when you get that plate out, that's kind of the part of the first part of the process that we're going to be doing. So let's get it open, and we're going to go from there. So one thing with Geon boards, the feet are really, really awesome. So really love working with boards, and I wish more designers would take some notes from Geon. Now, one thing about Geon boards, Geon's based out of South Korea. Really, really great designer. One of my personal favorite people within the keyboard hobby. But Geon boards are great candidates to convert to Alps. The one nice thing about Geon boards is they use, again, standardized PCBs. So his TKLs use H88 or H87 standard PCBs. So that's really, really nice because, again, you can get, some of these Alps PCBs to fully convert these from Cherry MX switches over to Alps. So really, really nice thing in terms of that. So we're just kind of pulling out the screws. So we're unscrewing the top and bottom cases. So, and then we'll pull those screws apart, folks. So that's what we are doing. So awesome, awesome. There we go. Cool, awesome. Awesome, folks. So now we are doing that. So let's just pull that case apart. There we go. Awesome. We got those screws that came out. So we have our top case. So again, probably one of my personal favorite TKLs of all time. So really, really well-built board, well thought out in terms of design. Again, we just have the plates. That's the main component we need. We're pulling out from it. Just put my screws to the side. We're not going to use those till the very end of the build. So another thing too Really kind of gorgeous build. And we have these copper weights in here, so this gives this board some really nice heft, gives it some really nice weight. So when it's on your desk, it is not going to be going anywhere. So I'm putting that to the side. So all right, here is our plate. This was provided by Tom over at Height Keyboards. One thing with Alps, you use 1.2 millimeter thick plates. Cherry MX plates are supposed to be 1.5 millimeters. So Alps just have a little bit of a different standard when you are working with those particular sets. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So what I like to do when I work with Alps is I like to install these stabilized keycaps first. And again, lube and install stabilizers. That's the part that's kind of the biggest pain in the butt when you're working with Alps, is dealing with your stabilized keys. One of those cool things about this particular plate is it supports both Alps stabilizers and also Cherry MX stabilizers. Again, for the purpose of this build, we are using Alps Alps stabilizers, but the nice thing about this is you can utilize kind of both types of sets. So that's kind of cool. So that's what we're going to be doing today, folks. That's what we're going to get it going. So I'm going to get my Alps set of stabilized keys. There we go. Put that to the side. And we will get everything kind of going to get everything lubricated and installed for this particular build. So really cool. So first thing with Alps, what I like to do is going to be installing different components. So one thing about Alps stabilizers is they are plate mounted. They are not mounted to the PCB. So we're going to be installing the different components to this particular plate. The first part that we are going to be doing are going to be installing, again, there are these little clips that are going to be clipping in these stabilizer wires. So we have these little clip holders right here, so let's get those installed. And then we're going to go through and, there we go, and install those. So come on, little buggers, gotta get them out there. There we go. So we have our little clips, everybody, and we're going to kind of go through. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we have our little clips here. They're a little nice and tiny, but we like to install these first because it just makes life a little bit easier. So one thing with Alps, their stabilizers are kind of their own thing. They're very different from Cherry MX stabilizers. So but I like to install them first because it just makes life a little bit easier once you have everything in. So you have the two clips right there. So we're just gonna have two clips per each stabilizer wire. So that's what we are doing first. And then of course we're going to be lubing these stabilizers with 205G0. Now, one thing about Alps, you really don't want to be lubing the actual switches. There is if you do want to go the route of lubing Alps switches, do not use 205G0. Do not use dielectric grease or other types of lubes that are popular on the Cherry MX side. You're going to ruin the switches. If you do want to go the route of lubing your Alps switches, what you want to do is there's a very specific type of dry lube that you install on the slider of the switches, and then you let that lube thoroughly dry overnight, and then you reassemble the switch. Alps are very sensitive to various types of lubrication, so that's just the one thing that you just really want to be mindful of. When you are working with Alps switches, kind of want to throw your knowledge of Cherry MX boards out the window. That's just kind of how it goes. So that's really kind of important. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we're just kind of installing these little clips right here, and then we're going to go through and we're going to begin the lubrication process and start installing switches. So that's what we're going to do. Come on, there we go. And then we got one more clip we're going to install, and then we'll be good to start adding some lube and installing some wires on here, which will be really nice. So there we go. We got our clips for our 5 stabilized keys. So really cool stuff. Let's get some of my 205G0 out here, folks, and we're going to start going through and lubing this thing. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be lubing pretty much every point of contact for these particular switches. So we're going to go through and start lubing these particular points as we kind of go through the process of that, folks. So that's what we're going to be doing. Got some stuff I don't want there in the lube right there. There we go, everybody. So we're going through it. We are lubing it, everybody. Look at that. All right. So going through, just adding lube. Again, essentially what we want to do is we just want to lube anywhere where these wires are making contact. If we don't have any lube, it's going to be, the wires are going to be really rattly, and that's something we really don't want. So that's what we're going to kind of walk through and just kind of do it. So we're just kind of taking our time going through. You don't need too much. Again, one thing with lubing stuff is less is more. So that's the one nice thing about it. So kind of going through. So we're just adding lube. This is where the wires are, and then we'll clip in the wires, and we'll start adding some switches on here. So, I've gotten pretty good at the Alps builds. The one thing about Alps is they're pretty involved builds. And you're going to kind of see once we get to the switches. Again, one thing about Alps is what I really recommend are getting OG Alps. And the only way to get original pattern Alps switches is you got to harvest them from original vintage boards, whether it be old Macintosh, old Dells, old Zenith boards, etc. But that's all a very involved process, and some people are kind of turned off and apprehensive about that. So that's kind of where I've kind of entered into the kind of space with custom Alps is I do all that for you. We work on a switch that the client really wants, and then we finalize a board that the client really wants, and then we just kind of go from there and do final assembly of the board. So, and it's been a really fun process. Again, this particular client we're doing this board for has been really, really awesome and really gracious. They've been wonderful to work with. So it's been really nice being able to work with this client and figure out, again, what exactly they want out of this build and out of this particular board. So, so this particular client, this is going to be their second of 3 builds I'm doing for them, and they've been absolutely lovely to work with. So they got their orange Alps Frog TKL, and they said they absolutely love it. So that's been really, really nice. So I can't wait to give them this build, and then we're also going to be doing another really cool build that's going to be really kind of crazy in terms of the custom work we have to do to that board. That's a project that's kind of in the works, and I can't wait to show y'all how that board comes out, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. Probably one of the more bespoke boards I've ever done. So we're just installing the clips. There we go. Just giving them lube. There we go. Now let them rest. There's one. I'll install our other ones as well. All right, we're just installing these wires right here, so really, really nice. Awesome. So again, we want to make sure we're lubing these wires because we want these stabilizers to sound really nice for the client. Riley stabilizers are just not the best, so we want to make sure these stabilizers are nice and solid. So we got that one. Awesome. Perfect, perfect. Now, we're going to add a couple more of these stabilizer wires, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, all right, so we're adding those in. Awesome, awesome, folks. Adding those stabilizer wires in, so it's looking good. All right, sorry about that. Just putting in my backspace wire. There we go. Awesome, awesome. We got one more of our modifier, and then we'll go to our space bar, which is always the fun. This is always the fun one. The space bar we're going to do last, because that's always the interesting one to do. All right, so there we go. So everybody, we got that one going. So let me just put this one in. All right, there we go. Cool. Got those wires in. Now, I'm going to put my 2H5G0 to the side. We want to get some switches out. So these are green Alps. So these are really cool switches. So these are a linear version of Alps switches. They're a really good switch. Now, these are not the extremely rare neon green Alps switches that go for absurd amounts of money. These are really these are pretty easy to track down, and they're a relatively affordable switch. And it's nice because linear Alps are really cool. So they're growing on me. I really enjoy linear Alps. So we're gonna get 5 of them for right now because we're gonna start mounting the stabilized keys. So, but yeah, these have been fully restored. These have been fully deep cleaned. So that's one thing that is really nice about these switches. They're they're such a lovely switch to work with. So we're going to put them in right there, and we're going to keep going. So awesome, awesome. So going to get those in there. Come on. There we go. And then that one. Sweet. Awesome. So we got those. So one other thing we got to do before we modify this is I got to take out this particular point right here because we are going to be going with a stepped caps lock today. So let me pull that out. It's they're kind of breakaway, so really thin aluminum right there, so they're really simple to break off. Cool. All right. So I broke those pieces off because that's what we're going to be doing. We got to do a little bit of filing right there, really quick before we kind of go in our stabilized key. So let me get my file out really quick, and we're just going to kind of file that bare metal down, and we'll get it going. So I've got my file right here. So make it nice and easy. So let's just get these. Let's just do some filing. So I got to file that down because again, this is just going to allow the one thing that's nice with this particular PCB and keycap set. We can use a stepped caps lock, which is really nice. So it just makes things a little more fun. So using a stepped caps lock. So we're just gonna filing everything down. Fantastic. All right, we got our caps lock area good to go. Let's push those down just so we can have them nice and down. There we go. Cool. All right. Put our file away. Kind of done with that. Now, we can we want to pull out our keycap set. Let me pull that out. There we go. So we want to pull our keycap set out, and we want to get out our stabilized keycaps. That's what we're going to be doing. So this is these keycaps are from a company called Taihao. Taihao is a really, really cool keycap company. They've been making keycaps and computer parts since the 1960s. So they've been around for a very long time within the keyboard space. They were actually even originally original manufacturer of Alps keycaps back in the day. So Taihao, really, really cool company. They make some really, really cool stuff. And again, they're definitely a company, if you're looking into getting into Alps, they make some really cool keycaps. And again, they're very high quality for what they are. And they're based out of Taiwan. But they make a few different keycaps. And again, they're perfect for, again, Alps builds. So we have our stabilized keycaps right here. So we have our 7U spacebar, we got our backspace, our enter key, and then our left, and then our right shifts. So that's what we're going to be doing here to kind of get this build going. So really, really good stuff right here. So for these stabilized keycaps, we have to there are little clip holes that we have to put in on the bottom of the keycaps. That's how they're going to interface and connect with the particular stabilizer wires. So that's going to be really good. So that's what we're going to be doing. So really good. But yeah, for my folks who are tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in, taking the time to kind of be here and watch. It's really kind of fun. I just got back from San Diego Comic-Con. I got the opportunity to be in their esports arena and kind of talk with some of their tech representatives, and I got to meet some really cool people. And we have some potential of doing some really cool kind of collaborations coming up in the future, which would be really cool, especially for a YouTuber that I've been a very long time fan of, which would be really, really cool to get the opportunity to work with them. So. But yeah, again, key content was kind of sparse, but there's a bunch of really cool stuff coming up in the next 2 weeks. We got some client builds that we're doing, and I also have some sponsored streams, and also just some personal builds for me that have come in. So I got some really, really cool builds coming up, and again, I just want to build them on stream and share them with people, and just educate people on some cool boards and just different processes. So we got a little bit of Alps, we got some Topre stuff, we got some other things coming up, which will be really kind of cool. So I just love sharing with the community and people about getting into this really awesome and really fun hobby. So it's really, really cool. So we're just getting our stabilized keycaps with their little mounting clips put in, and then we'll start again getting them to be mounted on the plate, which is really cool. So really, really good stuff. Really fun working with these. And then once we get these on, then the bulk of the work comes in, which is soldering switches in, which is a very involved process. And you'll kind of see on those of you who've seen some of the other Alps builds, that's just kind of how it goes when we are working with particular things like this. So just making sure that should be that way. Just spacebar is always kind of weird. I always kind of see which way we go. So give me a second with that shorter wire. Am I right? Yep. Yeah. It's got that spacebar right here you want to do, so it's always kind of weird seeing how that shapes up. Okay, let me just see. It's that way. Yeah, that way. Cool. Right, spacebar is good. We'll do that one last. That's always kind of a pain in the butt. So Alps spacebars are interesting, folks. So, all right, folks. Now we're ready to start lubing the wires and also lubing these clips. So we'll start off with our left shift. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to get some 205G0, and we're going to lube these wire clips right here. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we got that wire clip going, and then what we are going to be doing is lubing these clips right here. So any point of contact where those wires are going to be making with different components in the stabilizers, that's what we want to get lubed. So I'm kind of out of lube in this one, so I'll kind of toss this one. Cool. Now, just getting it going. So we're lubing it right there, folks. So good times. All right, so this one looks pretty good and pretty lubed. So we'll then install this particular keycap. So let me just pull off any excess lube. So we're going to clip it into the wire. Oh, no, there we go. There we go. All right, let's just see. Oh, that feels so good. Got our first stabilized keycap in, which is really nice. All right, we're gonna start off. The next one will be our backspace. So let's pull that wire up. Yeah, Alps keycaps, really fun. Really fun. So love working with them. So good times, everybody. Good times. So got those going in. Perfect. So we're just lubing those in, folks. Again, this shouldn't be too bad of a build, hopefully. I don't want to jinx it, but we can kind of walk through the methodology process of getting these switches to work. Okay, those clips are lubed. Let's lube these wires really quick. There we go. Cool. All right, let's put these in. Awesome. Backspace looking good. We'll do our enter next. So let's lube the wire for the enter and we'll get it going. Awesome, awesome, folks. Cool, got that wire going. Let's lube the clips. Cool. And then we're going to be doing our right shift. Cool. Getting close, folks. Getting really close. It's getting those clips in. All right, folks, we're almost there. Cool. All right, we got 4 of our stabilized keycaps in there. Now we got to do the, again, almighty Alps spacebar. So, looking good so far. So we'll get that Alps spacebar in there. And then we'll get this, we'll be pretty much done with our stabilized keycap. So Alps spacebars are kind of the keycap that is kind of the biggest pain. But hey, once we get it in, it is in there and it is pretty solid. So that's the nice thing about Alps. Got those in. Let's lube the wire, and then we'll get ready to clip this puppy in. So that's pretty good. All right, we got our wire in, folks, so that's pretty good. All right, let's just clip that wire in. Perfect. Got it in there. I'm going to add a little bit of lube on the bottom where it's going to clip into the actual plate. Cool. All right, folks, let's get this one in. I think we should be good. Okay, let's just get this in. Perfect. I think we are good there. Let me just do a quick little check. Yeah, we're good. Sweet. All right, we are done with 205G0 for this build. We've got our stuff all built up. Let me just get my swipe my hands off really quick just so we don't get any lube and whatnot. But I think we're good there, folks. So there we go. We have our stabilized keycaps installed. So there we go, folks. So that is really nice. So now what we can do is we're going to solder these ones in. So I'm going to fire up my soldering iron. Yeah, there we go. And let's mount this on the actual PCB itself. So let's just get everything lined up. And I think we're good. Yep, perfect. Awesome. Everything's lined up on the PCB, so let me just flip it over. And we'll get everything soldered for these stabilized keycaps, and then we'll do a quick little test. Perfect. Let me just do a quick little test on here. Before we solder, I just want to make sure the PCB pops in. So look at, oh my gosh, look at that RGB. Look at that. That is super sick. Oh my god, it's so bright, everybody. Look at that. So I'm just making sure we pop up in vial really quick before we do any soldering. And we are good, folks. So that is looking pretty good. So fantastic. So, all right. I'm going to turn. All right, cool. We're going to unplug the PCB. There we go. You can hear my noises on my speakers, everybody. So soldering iron is warmed up. Put my stabilizer stuff away for the moment. We'll clean that up in a second. But yeah, looking pretty good, everybody. Looking pretty good. So let's grab my solder and we'll get this show going. There we go. Cool. I'm going to just solder these puppies in. So let me put that to the side. Let's get my vent fired up just so I'm not breathing all that crap in. And we got the solder good to go. So I just want to see where we got. Cool. Give me a second. We got one going in, folks. So we're soldering in, everybody. So that's going to be pretty good. Making sure our solder joints are looking good. Looking good, folks. Looking good. Cool. That one's going good. We got a couple more switches, folks, and then we're gonna do some testing. Nice. Perfect. Alright, let's just clean off my soldering tip. Let's put that to the side. Alright, folks, let's see how that came out. So we have our stabilized keys. So they are on there. Cool. All right, let's do a quick plug-in, and I want to test these switches really quick. There we go. Really quick. Let's go to my matrix tester. Let's get via and no. Cool. We are good. We are good there. Just want to go to Vial really quick. So we're just testing the switches because these are old switches. So we just want to make sure that the switches are good to go for the client. Let's go to the matrix tester. Cool. Cool. All right, we're good, folks. Just want to make sure my layout is good to go. H87, ANC, rate shift full. All right. Good to go. Give me a second, folks. Perfect. Awesome, folks. All right, we have our stabilized keys good to go. So that is fantastic. So let's start installing some switches. First off, folks, before we move on, I'm going to put my stabilizer parts away just to kind of keep things nice and organized. So let me get my box of stabilizer parts, and we're going to put those away. So let me find my box where all those go. There we go. Let me put those away, folks. Yeah, it's when you harvest a lot of Alps, again, you get a lot of parts. So I got a metric truckload of Alps parts in here. So let me put these away. That's a lot of Alps parts, folks. So fun times, fun build. Really cool. Fun times. So I'm gonna do a lot of Alps builds for clients, and just myself. So we got a lot of parts laying around on hand to make builds happen a lot better. So ton of good stuff, folks. All right, let's put my Alps parts away. There she goes. Cool. All right, friends. Let's go through and start putting in some other switches just to make things a little bit easier. So we are going wing keyless. So on the bottom row, we're not going to have a Windows key on either side, which is the way it's supposed to be. So that's pretty good. Awesome. Look at that. Looking good. Those green Alps look amazing, by the way. So let's install some switches up here. Get our tab installed. We'll install that one. Our escape. Making sure. Good times. Yep, we good there. And then we'll install that puppy. Nice. Alright. We'll do those, and I want to get the... Where's the keycap box? Where did I put it? Somewhere. Give me a second. There we go. I got to get my stepped caps lock out, because the client does want a stepped caps lock, so I got to figure out which caps lock we are going with. So let me pull out the keycap set, and we'll get that one going. Where's my caps lock? Is there any other ones? Okay, cool. Let's pull out these two caps locks. Figure out which one we are going to go with. Okay, let's figure out. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just figuring out which caps lock we're going to go with. I think we're going to go with this one. Cool. Got that nice little step caps lock right there. Look at that. Perfect. So we're going to install these switches first, do a little bit of testing. And then we're going to get it going. So I'm going to put my arrow keys in, some of my home cluster as well, just to kind of hold everything down. Just make sure, home arrow keys, home cluster. Again, we got a metric truckload of green Alps to do for builds. So we are chilling on green Alps. Alright, we're going with our home cluster now. There we go. Now, this is a pretty sweet TKL build that we are doing, folks. For my folks who have tuned in, welcome, welcome. It's a fun time, everybody. So, just here doing a Geon F1-8x V2 Alps build. So, really, really cool board. Really fun time. So we're just getting these switches installed, and then we're going to solder them in. So there we go. Good. Good, good. So we got our home cluster. We got our arrow keys. Just making sure everything looks solid. Everything looks pretty good. So, all right, folks, let's start getting some of this stuff installed. Let me put this box of switches to the side. And then we're going to start soldering in switches, and then we got to test them, everybody. And that's the part that kind of takes forever with these particular Alps builds. So that's the fun part. So let's get them soldered in. So again, soldering, not too bad. It's actually a pretty fun process once you get it going. It's pretty simple. Like getting it in, folks. Like getting it in. Oh, good times, everybody. Good times. Nice. Slow but steady when we do the solder game, everybody. Perfect. It's coming along, coming along. Awesome. Got those soldered in. Let's go to our bottom row now and get those switches put in. Nice. Coming along. It's doing pretty good. Really like it. Doing good. Awesome. Cool. Bottom row is looking good. Awesome. Looking good, folks. Getting more solder. Looking good, looking good. So we're just going to do arrows and the rest of the home cluster, and then we should be good to do some testing. Because a good chunk of this is pretty much held down, which is really nice. So, good times, everybody. Good times. Good times. Alright, almost there, folks. Got a few more switches on this one. We gotta do some testing. Awesome. Going good, everybody? Going good. Awesome. Coming along pretty good, everybody. Coming along. Awesome, awesome. Looking good. On one more, we'll do some testing. Cool. Alright, folks, so we got a good chunk of those in there. Let's pull off my caps lock really quick. There we go. Alright. So it's coming along. It's starting to look like a keyboard, or at least a keyboard PCB and plate assembly. But there are green Alps, everybody. Coming along. Look at that. Nice. Oh. This is going to sound great once we get her installed. So, I got that nice RGB, everybody. So that's pretty good. So I want to test these switches. I want to pull up my little VIA switch tester really quick. Give me a second. Alright, there we go. Let's do some testing, folks. Escape is good. Tab is dead. Alright, we're going to have to install that tab. Caps lock, no bueno. Okay. Tab and caps lock, we got to reinstall. Get new switches, those are dead. Good. Monstream. Good times. Alright, those are pretty good. Those are going good. That's good. Yeah, we're good. Give me a second, folks. Gotta respond to a message really quick. All right, folks. So those are pretty good. So let's get the desolder gun out, and we got to desolder these two switches right here. So that's just kind of the nature with Alps. That's actually pretty good having two that are just kind of weird like that. So pretty good. So I want to pull up my caps lock. I'm on a stream. What's up? So give me a second. Give me a second, folks. Later. All right. Sorry, folks. Some folks had some question in the house. Everybody. So all right, folks. Now. Let's get it going. So we're going to desolder these, folks. So that's what we're going to do. So, all right, let's get the desolder gun out. Let's make sure all my parts are good to go. So my Hacko FR301, got her in. So let's get her warmed up, get her fired up, and we're going to pull these switches off. So let's, all right. Cool. Get that puppy heated up, and we want these two switches that we're going to pull off. So, hello, friends. We got more people joining the stream. Welcome. We've been here for a little bit. So I've had some other folks kind of come on in, everybody. So it's all good. So we're letting this puppy heat up once we get to that red. and we'll pull off these 2 switches right here, folks. Again, that's just kind of the nature with Alps. We're going to have some switches that are dead, but for the most part, everything else is pretty good here. So then we'll start the F rail. So let me just let this puppy. All right, we are good to go. All right, we have Epic. What's up, Epic? Come on in, dude. So we're having a good time over here, friends. We got to desolder a couple switches that are dead. That's not good. Give me a second, friends. We have technological differences on my desolder game. What's going on here? Wait, give me a second, everybody. This is a very finicky tool, so give me a second. Something's not exactly working right. Give me a second, folks. All right, cool. Again, that's what we do. That's why we do this, folks, live on stream, everybody. So I want to see there's something clogging up my nozzle. So we want to just see what the heck could be clogging it up. This tool is a workhorse, so it's pretty good. All right, we're good there. So we're good there. Yeah, nozzle's pretty good. Might be the chamber it's all messed up. So give me a second, folks. Oh, there you go. There's your problem. All right, we're not stuck. I need a new filter. Give me a second, folks. So that's just one thing about this tool. Again, you gotta have a lot of wear parts. So I gotta install a filter on this puppy, and then we should be good to go. So this FR301 is a little workhorse for me. So this tool is awesome. If you are getting into Alps or any type of soldering, you definitely want to pick one of these up. It's not a cheap tool, but it is definitely worth it. I could not imagine working on keyboards or just tech in general without one of these things. So it's a really, really useful tool, and it definitely pays for itself. Just makes life so much easier when you're working on solder boards. All right, got a new filter in. I got my little chamber in. So, all right, let's. There we go. We're good now. There we go. All right, there we go, friends. There we go. Everyone, just making sure we got it. There we go. Cool. All right, and keep that little solder point out. So let's pull out these 2 dead switches, and then we're gonna put in some 2 new switches and just kind of see if it works. So just kind of slide them on out. There we go. So those are no bueno. No good right there. Let's try 2 new switches, and we'll get those going. Awesome. All right, let's solder those puppies in, and then let's do a quick test. And then we should be good to go to start installing the rest of our switches. But everything else is pretty good in terms of being installed. So let's solder them in. Get that one in. Caps lock is in. Awesome. And we're going to do our tab right here, friends. Cool. Awesome. All right, friends. Let's just do a quick little test of those, and I think we should be good. So let's plug her in. Awesome. I love that. Tab's good. Tab and caps lock are solid. They are money. Yeah, we're good. Cool. Awesome, friends. So all those keycaps are good. So let's... Cool. Let's put this puppy to the side. We will be using... That is not the last of that tool we are going to be seeing, folks, just in my experience working with Alps. That's always a good time. So yeah, what's up, Epic? So we got it going. But yeah, looking good. So we have pretty much most of our assembly. We're going to put in the F row next, and then we'll do our numbers and our alpha clusters. But home cluster, arrows, all of our modifier, spacebar, everything is pretty good. So and all of our modifier keys are in there. This is a client build. So this is a build for a client. This is not my personal build. So if someone is paying me to build this for them. So this is a really cool client. This is my client that requested me to do a Geon Frog TKL with Orange Alps. So that was a really cool build. The client got that about a week and a half ago, and they really enjoy that build. And this is build number 2 for them. So we're doing a total of 3 builds for this particular client. So they've been really awesome to work with. And it's been really nice to kind of hammer out ideas and figure out what do we want to do in terms of these really cool Alps builds. But this is going to be a really cool build. I've never done green Alps in a TKL. So the green Alps are slowly becoming one of my favorite switches. So they're a really nice switch. They're on the lighter side of Alps. They're about 55 grams. Again, you can spring swap these if you are so inclined. But the factory, they come about 55 gram springs. And again, of course, they are linear. So they're going to have such a nice sound once we get the keycap, once we get this installed in the case. So we're just making sure everything is nice and flush. And then, awesome, friends. But this is going to look really cool. So, all right, let's spin this puppy over. And we're going to get my little vent going. And we're going to start soldering in our F row. And then we'll test our F row. And then we'll kind of continue on. So, yep. All my tooler. Give me a second, folks. Dropping tools. Crazy. Alright, let's get some solder wire going. Awesome, friends. So let's get this one going. So, alright, friends. Good times. Looking good. Looking good. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, green Alps overall pretty good. Blue Alps are still hands down my favorite. Green Alps are probably a close second or third, followed by orange or brown Alps. So, no, really good switch overall. I really enjoy working with it. I have green Alps in one of my personal builds. Well, it's the personal builds and parts right now. I'm waiting on parts for it, but they're going in one of my personal 60% builds. So, green Alps overall, really good switch, very underrated. But yeah, linear Alps, I think, when you go into the world of Alps, I think everyone really likes the tactile or the clicky ones, but the linears really don't get a lot of love. There's a lot of really good linears, and green linear Alps are pretty relatively easy to find compared to some of the other Alps. Like I have a set of yellow Alps, which are also linear, but those are a little more difficult to find and source, but I'm saving those for a TKL that I'm wanting to do in the future. So I'm just making sure that those are all good. But yeah, we're just soldering in these F rows. Looking good. So I have a little more solder to this one. Looking good. Awesome. Looking good, folks. Looking good. But yeah, no, overall, this is a really good switch. I really enjoy. So we're just soldering in these switches one by one. Hopefully the F-Row doesn't have any switches that are dead, but that's why we have the desolder tool and a metric crap load of green Alps. Did a little bit more solder on this one. Looking good, folks. So we're just making our way down the F row, so it's pretty good. But one thing about green Alps, they've been the commissions I've been doing, had a lot of green Alps commissions coming in. So very popular switch for people who do want to get into Alps, which is really nice. So again, this is actually one of the more affordable switches you can do. So they're going to run you about I'd say about $1, $1.25 a switch. So not not insanely cheap, but it's not like neon green Alps, which are going to run you about $5 a switch. So, or no, sorry, way more than that. Cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks, random person on the internet. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's good times. So we're making our way down the F-row. We're almost done with the F-row, and then we can start testing these. A little bit more of this one. Awesome. We got 4 more, and then we'll be going. Oh. Yeah, looking good. Awesome. Getting there for everybody. Getting there. Cool. Almost there, folks. Got a couple more pins here. Awesome, awesome, everybody. A little more solder right here, and I think we should be good, folks. Alright, so got our F-row in there, folks, so that's pretty good. There we go. It's starting to look like a keyboard, folks. Look at that, look at that, look at that. It's looking good. Alright, let's plug it in. Let's test some switches, folks. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that RGB goodness, everybody. That's so good. You're not going to see it once it's in the build. I'm going to have it turned off because, of course, you're not going to see it. Alright, folks, let's just double check my F-row. 12. I know, so glowy, dude. I love it. Alright, my F8 is dead, so we got to desolder that. It's okay. It's actually pretty good for a row. So, got to desolder F8. So, my F8 right there has to be desoldered. So, oh, I didn't solder a pin. Never mind, it doesn't have to be desoldered. We might just, or not desolder. We might just didn't solder a pin. Give me a second. Alright, folks. Let's let that one die. Alright. So, are you talking about Alps switches or Alps keycaps? So, those are two different things. If you're talking about Alps keycaps, you kind of have 3 sources. You're going to have to either look at DCS. So, those are from Signature Plastics. They made 6 DCS keycap sets. Most of them are hard to find. DCS 9009 for Alps is relatively easy to find. I have 4 of the 6 DCS Alps sets, but most of them are really hard to find, and if you do find them, you're going to pay a premium for them. The second option is going to be Taihao keycaps, which is what we're doing for this build. Taihao is nice because they're modern day production Alps keycap sets, and they're relatively affordable, about $50, and they're these are really good quality keycaps for the price point. The other one, in terms of keycaps, are going to be original Alps keycap sets. and that's why you're going to have to get those from original Alps boards. Now, certain Alps keycap sets are going to be better than others, and some of them, depending on how sought after they are also going to demand a premium price. Like, for example, the keycaps I have in my Geon F1-8x, paid about $200 for that keycap set. And that was for the key, because the keyboard is really sought after and the keycaps are really sought after. So it really just depends. Your easiest and most affordable option are going to be Taihao, about $50 for a set, and they're a great option. Again, this client, really nice client. 2 of their builds are going with DCS. Are going with Taihao keycaps. So they're really good keycaps. But you really only have 3 options, and you're very limited. You don't have like the vibrant colors that you have on the Cherry MX side. So if you're wanting something really bright or really vibrant, Alps, you're not getting that. You're amazingly going to get beige, white, dark beige, more beige, and some black. Realistically, there's not a lot of color. And again, your options are very limited. So you're very much going to want to go with like a retro theme when you're doing Alps. So, but yeah, let me just test that F8 really quick. I think it'll work. All right, we're good. F-row is good. Sweet. All right, let's put in our number row for next, and then we'll keep on moving on. But so far, all these switches work, which is really good. So we're going to now put in our number row and get that going. So this is going to probably hopefully be a little bit faster than last time we did a build, because we had a lot of dead switches. We had to desolder and then resolder and trying to figure out and troubleshoot. But this one is going relatively smooth, which is really nice. But yeah, like in terms of finding Alps keycaps, you're very limited on your options. I mean, at least in my collection, I have a pretty cool selection of Alps keycaps. And some other client builds coming up. We've gotten really creative with the types of keycaps we're using. But overall, when it comes to Alps, again, you just have to kind of accept beige or like white, pretty much. So if you're going to do an Alps build, I really recommend, if you want a nice splash of color, choose a case that has a nice splash of color. That's my honest recommendation. And have that the color of the keyboard case kind of be your main accent piece in the build. So there we go. I'll pull that one out. It's a little loose. There we go. Awesome. Look at that. Look at that. That's pretty good. So let's do our number row, folks, and we'll get going. So yeah, but overall, again, Alps, it's a little more research in terms of what you're going to be doing, but most of the work is going to be in sourcing your switches. That's usually going to be the best one. So let me just get my number, make sure they're all good. Yeah, we're good. We happy. So let's get this going. Sorry, that. Running out of fingers, I swear. Sweet. Let's make sure that's in. Sweet. Looking good, everybody. Nice. Slow and steady on this one. Nice. It's coming along, folks. Coming along. Awesome. Let's push that one in. Good times. Again, those of you who are tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Again, I'm just a guy who likes building keyboards, and I like sharing information with the community. So, am I a professional? Absolutely not. But are we here for some interesting times? Absolutely. So, I will never claim to be a professional. I'm just a guy. I am a dude disguised as a dude playing disguised as another dude. I think that's the quote. So, we're going fine for everybody. So, just soldering these ones in, and we're going to get it going. Awesome. Looking good, folks. Looking good. All right, cool. That should be that number row. But yeah, looking good. So, starting to fill in, folks. All we really have are the alphas left. So, oh, these are going to sound so friggin' awesome once we get them installed. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. All right, let's plug these in. Boom. Look at that. All right, let's test these. All right, my number 5 is dead on this particular one. So 5 is dead. That is okay, everybody. Let's pull out the desolder gun, everybody. And let's plug that in. We'll get that switch desoldered. And we'll put in a new one. There we go. Let's get this one going. So number 5. So right here, that switch right there. No bueno. So that's what we're going to desolder right there, folks. So we're going to get the solder gun. Let her warm up. Once that red light turns off, we can, again, we're heated up, and we can desolder this puppy. Come on, come on, come on. It's thinking. It's warming. There we go. Cool. All right, we'll put that to the side. Let's pull out that switch. In a second, we're going to pull this one out. Sweet. Cool. Put that switch to the side. Take care of that one. All right, let's put a new switch in. Let's get that soldered in, and then we should be good on this row, hopefully. Nice. Awesome, awesome. All right, let me just test that really quick. All right, 5 is good. Sweet. Number row is good, everybody. Look at that. Look at that. We're looking good. Awesome. All right, put the solder gun away because we're going to need that. And that's not going to be the last we see of that tool, everybody. That tool is pretty awesome in terms of how we do it. So, but looking good. So, now we're going to install another new batch of switches in our alphas. So, we're doing our first alpha row. So, let's get these puppies installed. There we go. Looking good. All right. Looking pretty good. All right. Let's get our vent going. And then let's get this next row going, everybody. Looking good. Looking good, everybody. Awesome. Looking good. So, keep on going, folks. Cool. Good times, everybody. Cool. Almost there, folks. Alright, just making sure we're looking good. Perfect. All right. Got this second this alpha row in. Look at that. Look, it's starting to look like a keyboard, everybody. Look at that. Looking pretty good. So, let's plug her in. Cool. All right. W's not working. Okay, W and T are not working on this one. we'll pull those ones out. Cool. All right, W and T. Not working correctly. All right, cool. Let's pull out the solder gun. Pull them in. It's okay. It's how we do it, folks. Again, it's part of the process of how we do these builds. So, there we go. Alright, so W. Let's let this load up. We're doing these two right here. These are my W and my T. Let's let this kind of heat up. And then we'll get this one going, folks. So again, this is a pretty simple build today. Again, it is a TKL. So once we get these ones in, resoldered with some new switches, hopefully they should work. So let's kind of see. There we go. We are good to go. Cool. Got them desoldered. Let's pull them out. Pull them out. And then this one. Cool. Nice. Not too bad. Not too bad indeed. Let's pull out a couple more. Look at these. Yeah, we're good. Cool. All right. Let's get these ones going. And we should be good to go into our next row. We're almost there, folks. All right. Got him. Actually, this one's just not a little, a little more solder right there. Yeah. There we go. Pretty good. Let's figure it out. Let's plug this puppy in. W is good. E, R. Ah, it's 2 in a row is bad. Jeez, this switch is bad too. Darn. Well, it's okay. Okay, so my T is still bad. Yeah. Cool, let's pull that one out. It's part of the process, everybody. Part of the process. We're going to have to pull this one apart. It's all good. Put this switch back together. All right, let's see if third time's a charm on getting this one done, everybody. Lord. Hopefully that worked. Cool. All right, let's try that again, everybody. All right, T is good, everybody. All right. We are good over there. Let's take the soldering gun away. All right, desoldering gun is good, everybody. All right. Let's see what we got, folks. All right, let's do our next row. And it's starting to look like a keyboard, folks. So we got 2 more rows of alphas. So we're moving a lot faster than the first time we did one of these. So not as many dead switches with these greens, which is really nice. We're getting there, everybody. We're getting there. Cool. Oh man, look at that. Look at that, everybody. That's sick. So that looks beautiful. So coming along, folks. So let's get my vent, put my tools over here. Let's get the vent going. Oh. Hell, I plugged it in. There we go. Alright, next row of alphas, folks. We're almost there. Getting to the home stretch. Alright, let's just make sure we push these through. Cool. Alright. Almost there. It's got those. Let's do the rest of the holes on this one, and we're good. Awesome, awesome. Looking good. Almost there, folks. Cool. Got that row done, everybody. Got that row done. Look at that. Looking good. Almost there. Got like 1 more row, and then we got a TKL here, folks. Look at that. Look at that. So, let's plug this board in, and let's see how we are looking. Ooh, got that Pro Gamer RGB looking pretty good, everybody. So, let's see. My letter J is dead. Just letter J is bad. That is pretty good for that. So, not too bad. Let's fire it up. All right, so J. So that's what we got to desolder right there, that particular switch. So let this puppy heat up. We're almost there, folks. Almost there. It's looking pretty good. Let her heat up. There we go. There we go. All right, friends, let's get that switch out. Nice. Perfect. Awesome. Let's get a switch put in there. New switch. Awesome. Let's put this other dead one back together just so we can throw it to the side. Almost there, friends. Almost there. Let's solder this one in. And let's see. We're almost there, everybody. Almost there for this one, having this PCB assembly done. So, it's a pretty quick one. Cool. That switch in. Fabulous. Let's plug it in. Yep, J works. All right, we're good. We got one more row, everybody. Home stretch. Home stretch indeed. All right, home stretch, everybody. This is a huge relief. We're almost there. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. Awesome. Cool. All right, got our last row, everybody. And then we're good to like start soldering these puppies in. That is looking good. Let's move my solder gun. We will not be seeing the last of that puppy. That is my workhorse. All right. Let's plug her in. Let's get some solder wire going. Cool. Last row, everybody. Last row. Cool, looking good, everybody. Looking good. All right, let's make sure we got them all. Sweet. Let's flip it around, folks. We are almost there, everybody. Almost there. Last row. Let's just see if these are all looking good. Ah, my letter M is no bueno. N is bad. Yeah. V is bad. All right. Okay. V. Yeah, so V, N, and M are bad. So we need 3 switches on this one. I know it's almost complete, folks. Almost complete. So those 3 switches are bad. And then I think once we get those in, I think we should be done with soldering. So let's fire up the heat gun, and then we should be good to go. This is just kind of a slow process with Alps. You can't just put them all in, solder them in. It is very much a process of getting these puppies working. So I'll put those 3 to the side. But we are looking at M, N, and V. So let's put those over here. Okay, so let's do V first. V is one of mine first. Perfect. Hold up. Give me a second, folks. We got a little blockage in the solder gun. Give me a minute. We got a little bit of a stoppage here. There we go. There we go. Should be working now. Give me a second. There we go. Almost complete. Okay, so we have our V, V, and M. N and M. Perfect, these 2. Alright, let's pull these out. Let's disassemble these switches. Almost there, friends. Almost there. Oh, come on. Okay, let's get that one in. Yoink. Cool. Just getting these switches disassembled, everybody. We'll pull them on out. There we go. All right, there's that one. Let's pull this one out. Almost complete. I know, we're almost there. So, yoink. Put that one in. Is that one gonna come out? Give me a second. I want to loosen these ones up a little bit. There we go. Awesome. One more, friends. One more. Then we'll put these new switches in. Hopefully those are good. It's just what happens when you're dealing with switches that are like 40 years old. This one also being kind of, yeah, I gotta, give me a second. There we go. Perfect. All right, got those switches pulled out. Let me just put the new ones in. We should be good to go. All right, let me reassemble these dead switches and we'll go from there, folks. So, almost complete on this one. Where did I put the... Give me a minute. Let's put these in. That's what happens when we do it live on stream, everybody. Alright, cool. Cool. There's my switch plate. Let's put them in. Those switches are part of my discard pile. Alright, let's solder these switches in and hopefully they work. So let's get it going. Almost there, friends. All right, should be good. Oh, thank you, friends, for watching. Again, thank you, guys. Again, like I said, it's a fun build. Like, again, these are just really cool builds, so we're almost there, so. Just making sure we're looking good. So we got those 3 in there, so let me just test these switches that were acting all funny. Those are good. M is good. N is solid. B. All right, everything's good. So I'm going to put my desolder gun away. I think we are pretty much done soldering. So I want to kind of go through and just really stress test these switches, make sure everything is good to go. We are done soldering. I'm going to turn my soldering iron off. All right, cool. Now, we're going to go through and we're going to just kind of really stress test this and we'll start putting keycaps on. So I'm going to reset my little switch tester in VIA. There we go. So escape. Yeah, we're just really testing these, like making sure these so far so good. Just making sure everything is registering correctly. Going in the home cluster. Awesome. Alt are good. Shifts is good. Caps lock. Looking good. Just testing them, making sure everything is being responsive and quick. Looking good. Well, so far so good. Looking good. All right, that's very thorough in how we do it, and that's my print screen, and of course, looking good. Looking good, folks. So I think we are good to start installing keycaps, and then we'll put the actual final assembly in. But there we go. We have some nice linear green Alps. So I'll put my caps lock on, and then we'll install it in the case, and then we'll do a little sound test, and then we'll be good to get on out of here, folks. We'll probably be out of here in the next, I say, 10 or 15 minutes. So let me get my keycaps, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's get these tie hows out. Get our alphas first. So I'll put in our alpha set. Yeah, this is a really nice keycap set. One of my personal favorites. I really enjoy this set. Again, I've used it on a couple different client commissions, and I have it on my Hex 3C V2. So really nice keycap set. Tie how, those folks, I think are doing a really good job over there. Looking good. Oh yeah, really good. Let's put in most of our clusters. Yeah, this is awesome. It's coming along now. This is a really sick build. Learning about these, really good. But yeah, if you're looking into getting into an Alps build, again, like keycaps can also be just as expensive, if not more expensive than the switches, depending on if you go DCS or original Alps keycaps. So that's why I think Taihao is a good middle ground between DCS and original Alps keycaps. They're very affordable. The sets are $50, and they're thick double shot PBT. So these are, again, these legends are not going to be rubbing off over time, and they're very good quality. And again, Taihao has been making stuff since the 1960s, and they were an original Alps keycap manufacturer back in the 1980s and 1990s. So really good keycap company, and they have a very good reputation. They're made in Taiwan. So if you go with Taihao, just because they're only $50, that doesn't mean you're getting an inferior product. So give me a second, folks. All right, give me a second. I gotta answer one thing. All right, almost there, folks. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. And again, these vintage gray and white keycaps are going to go great with the black Geon F1-8x case. All right. Oh my gosh, that looks great. Let's get the other tray to get the remainder of our keycap. Oh, come on, Taihao. There we go. Cool. Let's put the rest of our set on here. Looking really good, folks. Awesome. Let's put our arrow keys here. Looking good. And then we'll put our control and our alt on here. Oh my gosh, that looks awesome. Look at that, folks. So that is a great internal keycap assembly. That looks great. It all works. So pretty cool. So we're going to get ready to put this puppy in our actual F1 case. So I'm going to grab the bottom case and top case, and we'll get that assembly in. So here's our bottom case. Before we do that, I do like wiping off the weights. Just because I don't want any fingerprints or anything on those weights. They're so pretty. You're never going to see them, but it's okay. But like I said, this is a Geon F1-8x. So probably one of the best TKLs ever made. If you're looking for a really nice, bespoke, high-end TKL, yeah, definitely go Geon F1-8x V2. Or just any Geon board in general. They're just awesome. Put that top case on, and like, oh my goodness, that looks awesome. That looks so sick. So let's screw this in. We'll put the feet on, and then we'll do a proper sound test, and we'll get out of here, everybody. So let me get my screws, and we'll start screwing this puppy in. So let's put these in. Just do that center one just to hold the case on. Perfect. Alright, cool. So screw these in, folks. Yeah, it looks dope already. This is a really nice build. Really good. So we're just screwing this one in, and then we'll give it a nice little wipe down, and then I will be doing some product photography of this board, and then I'll be shipping it off to the client tomorrow. So we'll make sure that client is nice and happy to get their second of 3 Alps builds. Again, this client, really awesome person. They've been a joy to work with, and I'm really grateful that they reached out to me to be able to do these really nice commissioned builds for them. Again, the third and final build we're doing for this client, It's going to take some time. I'm going to be dropping it. It has to get cut. We have to do some custom CNC mods and also some custom Cerakote work to it. So that's going to take a few weeks. But when that build gets done, I cannot wait to build it and show y'all on stream because it's going to be awesome, everybody. But this one, let's move my plate thingy right here. That is freaking gorgeous. That is a gorgeous build. Let me just plug her in. I'm going to do one last kind of stress test on everything. Let me just plug her in. There we go. All right. So let me reset my key tester again and make sure this looks sick. That is sick. I think this came out really great. Rock on the client for. Oh yeah. Yeah, we work. Yep, we're good. I'm going to go into Vial really quick, and I'll turn the lighting off on this. Lighting is just kind of obnoxious, and again, like I said, like I can see it through some of the keycaps, but this isn't a polycarbonate bottom case, so there's really no point in having it. But yeah, this is a really beautiful build. Let me just turn off the lighting really quick. All right, turning off the lighting. Let's make sure everything is programmed correctly. Yeah, looks all good. Let's just do one last test in Vial really quick, and then we should be good. Give me a second, folks. Just testing everything. Yeah, we're good. All right, everybody. I'm going to move my microphone down. We'll do a quick sound test, and then we'll get off here on stream, folks. So, hello, ring. You can hear my Ring doorbell, hopefully in the background. All right, folks. Here we go. We're going to do a sound test, and then we'll get out of here. All right, moving my microphone up, folks. All right, my folks who tuned in, thank you. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way. Again, I'm just a guy here who likes and who enjoys building keyboards. Keep a lookout on Reddit and Discord and my personal and again my keyboard Instagram, and you'll be seeing pics of this board. Before we get out of here, I just want to grab my personal Geon board and just do a quick comparison. So here's my Geon F1-8x. I have a special edition, Seoul Mechanical Keyboard Expo 2024 edition. So there's only about 100 of these in existence. So I have my blues with my OG Alps keycaps. Really cool. And we have linears. So probably one of the greatest TKLs ever made, folks. So really enjoy it. But again, those of you who joined the stream, thank you so much. Again, the support really goes a long way, and we got some really cool streams coming up in the future, folks. We'll probably be on Thursday or Friday next time, folks. So thank you so much, everybody.